So for me, my drag character is basically just saying like, yes, women can be any form of like woman they want to be. Like femininity doesn't have to be sort of categorized and put into a certain box. I got into drag about probably like a year and a half ago. I mean, it was at some point in 2019. I started going up to Lollipop with a couple of my friends. My friends were just starting out doing drag as well. And I've always had a interest in sort of like dressing up and doing like these different characters, playing around with makeup. And for me, going towards the direction of drag was an outlet for my creativity that wasn't directly tied to my work. So it was doing something for myself that I just find enjoyable. I see drag as a play on gender expression. So for me, drag is tapping into my own masculine aspects while also keeping my own feminine ones. It's just a way for me to feel like myself and express my gender in the way that I personally want. Not necessarily, because drag isn't about sexuality, it's about gender. So basically, when it comes to drag, people choose to portray it could just be extremes of a gender. So you could have drag queens that want to portray like hyper feminine sort of characters. You could have drag kings that want to portray the more masculine aspects of being a man. You also have people that decide to do neither of that and just be completely non-binary because it's just how they want to express themselves within gender. But you don't need to be gay, you don't need to be trans, you don't need to be queer at all. In fact, there are plenty of very well-known drag queens that are married to women, while they are cis men. But on that note, I think it's an important distinction between what a trans person is to what a drag queen or drag king is. So my character is Black Velvet, and basically I guess it came from me being really, really obsessed with like sort of these old school horror movies and anything related to like really dark occult stuff, like very witchy stuff sort of thing. That, and it's really satisfying sometimes going out dressed up like a bisexual Transylvanian necromancer, so for me that's always a plus. The drag scene currently isn't as big as, say, for example, the UK's drag scene. However, there has been a huge resurgence with like seeing more people actively start doing more looks and trying out more makeup, things like that, which is great. That could partially be because of the how big shows like RuPaul's Drag Race have become. It's gone into the mainstream, so people that maybe wouldn't have been exposed to something like drag now are being exposed to something on like a much bigger scale. They have more access to it, and anyone sort of like within our community that's like, oh hey, like I think I could try that. Now they've got the courage to go out and do it. We did have quite a big drag scene, so to speak. Like we're talking back in the days, when you had like at Strada Stretta, things like that. But things had seemed to slow down after a while, especially with the closure of clubs like Closet, for example. After that close, that sort of put a bit of a dent in, as I would say, like in our drag history here. But now that we've got parties like Lollipop, for example, which is like my absolute favourite, like before the lockdown, it would be the only thing that I'd be looking forward to at the end of the month. But with parties like this, now we're seeing more people actually come out like, hey, you know what, like you can't look stupid, just like come out, get up in drag and have a night. Yes, of course, because at the end of the day, since more drag queens are becoming much more mainstream, if you go like on lots of these very famous drag queens Instagrams, you know, they have at least like some of them millions and millions of followers. So when you've got a platform like that, it would be such a shame to not use it for something that's for the greater good, you know? The way I see it is, if you've got a platform and you've got something good to say, use it for good. So I do think drag can help in activism in plenty of different ways. Oh, they love it. I mean, my family is like super, super supportive. I mean, even getting ready today, my mum was like helping me put on my wig, so it's great. Yes, unfortunately, when you are in drag, a lot of people tend to forget that you're also human. So you will get people trying to touch you inappropriately, trying to get a little bit too close, a little bit too handsy, because they see you as a character, not as a person. At the end of the day, though, I mean, me being a woman, you're going to be treated in a certain way as a woman in general. So I could be walking down the street like this and get harassed. I could be walking in my PJs and I'm still going to get something anyway. So in that regard, like, yes, you know, you are going to get some form of sexual harassment, definitely. I genuinely wish I had the confidence to dress up like a Transylvanian vampire all the time. Or at least just like the freedom to express myself in however way I want, dress in outlandish ways. And it's just that like confidence in accepting both of my feminine and masculine traits. So for me, my drag character is basically just saying like, yes, you know, women can be any form of like woman they want to be. Like femininity doesn't have to be sort of categorized and put into a certain box. For me, it's totally a form of escapism, especially like when we were still going up to parties and things like that. I would be getting ready and I would totally just forget anything that happened at work, anything that's going on at home. So I could just sort of like get him, put her in a little box. I'm gonna be Black Velvet now and I'm gonna really enjoy my night. Because it also gives you that like little bit of a confidence to just sort of completely let go. So anything that's sort of very self-limiting that you've got within yourself, you can just absolutely throw that away for a couple of hours and become this totally different person. So for me, yeah, it's like a great way of escaping the mundane sort of routine of life occasionally. How liberating it is, and how I honestly, genuinely believe that everyone should try it at least once in their life. That is even, for example, like if someone's straight or whatever, it is genuinely like such an experience. You get to see yourself in a different light, and I think people will also tend to start accepting parts of themselves that maybe they've been burying for quite a long time. It can take anywhere from between like 3 to 5 hours. It depends what look I'm doing really and how much time I have. I have managed to get ready like really, really fast if I need to be somewhere, but in reality, if I'm taking my time, I've got at least like a solid 4 hours. A lot of us, we do make our own costumes, so if there's something that you can't find off the shelf, you're gonna have to make it. So, you know, there's hours of sewing and making different props and things like that. But it's, in my opinion, it's not really like time wasted. I get to do something that I enjoy. I get to unleash my creativity in a way that just serves myself. We do tend to get quite a bit of homophobic remarks, yes, especially if we're in areas where there are parties that are mainly attended by, you know, like straight people, things like that. But yes, we do tend to get quite a bit of hate thrown at us. But honestly, it's not something that bothers me anymore. I just tend to sort of like look away and continue on with my day.